Do you have a large stomach, large bust area and no waist? Well, how about if I told you I can create, through the use of powerful styling tools, we can create and add a illusion of a waist and create a flattering silhouette and balanced proportions. Keep watching. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I am going to show you how to style an apple shape body type. Now this shape is wider on the top and narrower from the hip downwards. So this type of body shape usually has a larger bust area and no waistline and a larger stomach. This is the body shape that usually women's bodies transition into during menopause due to hormonal weight gain and gaining weight in the midsection area. The aim is to create, with this type of shape, the aim is to create a balanced proportions so that one area is not emphasized more than the other, to not emphasize on the unbalanced proportion, and also to create the illusion of a waist. Apple shape has fabulous long legs, and through clever and powerful styling tools and techniques, you can create balanced proportions and create the illusion of a waist. Clever styling tools, tips and tricks, you can bring emphasis away from the midsection area to your lovely long legs to create a flattering, balanced shape. So in this section, I'm going to go through your wardrobe heroes for this particular shape. I'm going to go through all the different clothing categories: tops, trousers, t-shirts, shirts, dresses, and what will flatter, and go through what will flatter this particular shape. And this is going to be your go-to and only clear guide on what clothes to purchase if you want a wardrobe refresh and you want to know what clothing will flatter this type of body shape to create a flattering silhouette and create balanced proportion through the power of styling. So your first and foremost thing you're going to do is get a professional bra fitting if you haven't done so already. Now, it is very imperative that you have the solid foundations to work with when you're styling up clothes. So you want to have a bra that actually fits you to lift and separate away from your midsection area, because you want to create shape between your bust and your midsection to create the wonderful foundations and allowing then to style up clothes and to get the best out of when you style up clothes. Shapewear can also provide support if the correct shapewear is found. Also, supportive briefs can also smooth the midsection. So good underwear is the key to starting your style journey, and good underwear creates the foundations to then get the maximum out of the clothing that you are styling up. So I'm going to go through jackets and coats and the wardrobe heroes for this particular shape. So you want to avoid any sort of detail at the top. What you're trying to do is to minimize details in the areas that you are not comfortable in. So if that's your bust area and your midsection, you want to avoid any large lapels, any ruffles, any double-breasted type of jackets and coats, because that is going to just increase width. You want to find shapes that will create the illusion of a waist, so maybe like a tie belt on a coat or jacket. You want to opt for ideally single-breasted coats and jackets, because that will elongate your body rather than double-breasted, which creates width, which we're trying to avoid. You also want to go for A-line or empire line jackets and coats, because that will cinch you in right under the bust area, which will be your narrowest point, and then they will come out as an A shape, which will skim over your midsection but create a flattering silhouette and balanced proportions. It's creating width at the bottom, so balancing out the proportions. So shirts, tops and t-shirts, your wardrobe heroes will be blouses or floaty styles that skim over the midsection. You also want to go for blouses or tops that have sheer sleeves, because the visibility of the arms will distract away from the midsection and the bust area. And you want to avoid any sort of detailings that emphasize the bust area, so any ruffles, any shiny fabrics, any lapels, any puff sleeved shoulder pads, because that will increase the width of the top half. You also want to avoid vertical lines. Again, if you think about it, vertical lines obviously go that way, which increase and give the illusion of width, which we're trying to avoid. You want any hem lines, if you're buttoning up your coats and jackets, to stop at the hip line to show off the lovely long slim legs that an apple shape usually has. You can wear longer length coats, but you will have to leave them open so that you can see your legs underneath. Don't want to wear anything that's too tight at the top, because you want to balance out the proportions. This will emphasize the slim legs and emphasize the wider top half. Anything too tight will emphasize the thicker midsection and the slimmer legs, and therefore that will just enhance the unbalanced proportions, which we're trying to avoid. We're trying to balance out the top and the bottom. And you want to go for open necklines, scoop necks, V-necks, anything that shows off the décolletage area, which will elongate your bust area, creating the illusion of a smaller bust. And any ruching or draping over the midsection will kind of support the midsection and kind of support it and hold it in and distract away from a thicker midsection and disguise it. Now dresses. The dresses that you want to look for if you are an apple shape are a shift dress. Shift dresses are great because they skim over your midsection. You want your dresses to just stop at the knee, because I know the saying, show off your best assets, but if you show off too much of your legs, this will just emphasize the unbalanced proportions and show off that the top half is wider and emphasize your slimmer legs. So you want to balance out the proportions, so don't go for anything that is too short. If you wear shorter dresses, this will just emphasize your thicker midsection, because you have really emphasized the unbalanced proportions by showing off more of the leg, which emphasizes on the thicker midsection. And in this video, I know there's a lot to take in, so please do use it and revisit any sections that you wish to, and really use it as a guide for when you are doing a wardrobe refresh and you want to have a guide as to what sort of style of clothes you should be going for to create a flattering silhouette for your shape. And you really want to be going for empire line dresses, which cinch you in just under your bust, which would be your narrowest point, but skim over your midsection and create that A-line curve on the bottom section to balance out with the wider top half. Wrapped and ruched on the midsection will really support your midsection, and it will distract away from the thicker midsection. And you want to go for styles that have an open neckline to elongate the bust area, creating the illusion again of a smaller bust. You want to go for necklines that are open, V-neck, scoop neck, show off the décolletage area, which will reduce and give the illusion of a smaller bust because it elongates the bust area. So skirts. The best sort of skirts for a apple shape are an A-line skirt, like a skater skirt, which is A-line shaped, so we'll skim over the midsection but create like a flattering shape and cinch in the waist. Pencil skirts also look very good if you opt for, you'll have to choose it in accordance of where you are comfortable wearing them. but they really create a lovely flattering silhouette. You can get pencil skirts that skim over the midsection but create a very like hourglass shape. You could also choose an A-line skirt with ruching or draping, which will support the midsection and also disguise the midsection area. So trousers. Now the trousers that you need to look out for if you have an apple shape are trousers that have a side fastening instead of a front fastening, because any volume around the front and the midsection will just add width to your midsection, which we're trying to avoid. And you want to opt for a wide leg to balance out the wider top half and to have balanced proportions. If you go for a skinny jean or a skinny trouser, that will just emphasize the larger midsection and will emphasize the narrow and the slim legs, which will make the midsection look even larger, and that's why you want to balance out the proportions. You want to also opt for a cropped or capri trouser, because an apple shape usually tends to have beautiful long legs and slim ankles. You can show off the ankles and you can afford to go cropped because you've got long legs. It will show off your slim ankles. Footwear. Now, footwear is often overlooked, but footwear can really make a difference to the proportions and whether your outfit looks flattering. Now, with a apple shape women have very lovely long legs and usually thin ankles, so you can almost get away with any type of shoe, even like kitten heels, strappy sandals with an ankle strap, and also you can get away with a more like a wedge shoe or a chunkier shoe to balance out the width of the top half, to bulk out the bottom to balance with the top half. Okay, so take a note and please pause and reflect and come back to this section, because these are the styles you want to avoid at all costs if you are an apple shape. So you want to avoid tight t-shirts, tight shirts, and just generally tight dresses, because that will emphasize your midsection area, which we're trying to avoid. It will emphasize the lack of waist. You want to avoid oversized coats, jackets, shirts, because they will just add bulk to your top half, therefore look unflattering. You want to avoid any sort of volume in the top section, such as puffer jackets, puffed sleeves, oversized shoulder pads, and voluminous sort of tops, too much ruffle, gathers, anything that will create volume in the top section you want to avoid. And you want to avoid dark colored skinny trousers or slim leg trousers, because this will make your top half look even bigger and the bottom half look even slimmer. And you want to avoid ruffles, pleats, volume around the midsection, because that will add inches, which we're trying to avoid. You want to definitely avoid long tunics, long jackets if they're buttoned up. If they're not, that's fine, because you can still see. And you should select styles that end on the hip to show off the slim ankles and the slim legs. You want to avoid delicate jewelry on the top half because it will just get lost, and so you want to go for more chunkier jewelry on the top half. Chunkier jewelry on the top half will create harmony and balance, and also you want to avoid longer necklaces, which will give emphasis to the bust. You want to have shorter necklaces, distract the eye away from the bust and to the top area of near your face. In terms of the colors that you should pick darker colors on the top to give the illusion of a smaller top half, and you want to add color to the bottom to balance out the proportion. If you wear brighter colors head to toe, that will create the illusion of length, because one color head to toe, block color, creates the illusion of length. Opt for lighter and brighter colours below the hip line at the narrowest point. And if you're choosing a pattern or print, you want to avoid any sort of detail. You want to have less detail at the top and more detail at the bottom at your narrowest point to balance out the proportions. You'll hear that quite a lot. Balancing out the proportions, that is the aim. You want to avoid longer jackets that are buttoned up and long tunic tops, because those will cut off the leg area, and that's what you want to show off, like your best asset. I think it's always important to provide visual representation through the use of photos and through the use of celebrities, because I think a lot of us look at celebrities and celebrities on a daily basis, and it's always really helpful to know which celebrities have a similar body type to yours, so that you can get inspiration from their social media channels, or just generally when you're looking at them, to get inspiration in terms of what clothes will suit you. I'm going to go through celebrities that are an apple shape and show you photos and images of them, and show you what they're wearing and why it works for their body shape. And I'm also going to show you a couple of looks that don't really work and why. I'll pop up an image of the celebrities that have an apple shape body type, and as you can see, if you look across the board, they're wearing very similar items that really flatter them and create shape. If you note on all of them, bar one, which is Adele, you will note that they all have open necklines to distract away from the bigger bust area. And also you will note that they are wearing Empire line dresses, or Melissa McCarthy in this one is wearing like high-waisted wide leg trousers. And you'll note that all of the Empire lines are starting underneath the bust at the narrowest point, which is creating a waist. And then you'll note that the skirt is an A-line shape, which skims over the midsection, but creates balanced proportions. And albeit they're not showing off their legs, because they are wearing long Empire line, A-line dresses, and the Empire line starts underneath the bust, creating the illusion of long legs. So therefore they don't have to show off their legs, because the Empire line styles creates the illusion of longer legs. Adele is the only exception. She's wearing a higher neck line. This is because perhaps she has a smaller bust area, so she can afford to wear a higher neckline. I'm going to show you 3 images and styles that I don't think work very well, and why. So the first one, I'm just looking down at my iPad so that I can run through it with you guys. So the first one, there's too much detailing at the top, and that's what you want to avoid, because that's your widest point, and so you want to avoid detail in that area, because this makes this particular lady look bigger on the top, which we want to avoid. And also the tighter, skinnier, straight leg trousers in black emphasizes the top half even more, because of the slimmer, showing off the slimmer legs. I like the shoes and the strappy ankles, because of her slim ankles, she can afford to wear such sandals, so that's good. And the next one is, and I don't think is very flattering, because the skirt is too high up. It almost kind of cuts off the bust area. So I would lower that a bit, and I would actually put a darker top on top to avoid the bust area. I mean, if you want to show off your bust area and you're comfortable with that, then by all means you should wear whatever you feel comfortable in. But if you are not comfortable with your bust area, then I would opt for a darker color on top. Lower the skirt a little, because it looks like it's cutting off the bust area, which emphasizes the bust area even more. I like the shoes, very high heels, showing off the slim legs, and a peep toe also contributes to elongating the legs because it's showing off the foot. This next one doesn't work either. I think that the gathering and the draping of this is too low down. I think if it was slightly more higher up, it would be more flattering because it would be just under the bust, which is the narrowest point. But the gathering and the draping is lower down, lower abdomen area, which isn't very flattering because it makes the top half look even bigger. If the gathers were slightly higher up, this would look more flattering. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you use it as a guide for you for when you're purchasing new clothes as to what styles to look out for to complement and flatter your shape. And I hope you subscribe to my channel because you're getting free tips and tricks from me, a personal stylist, all for free. Usually my clients have to pay for this advice, and you are getting it all for free because I want to impart knowledge to the everyday woman of how to create the best version of herself. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one.